Hello everyone, welcome to Data Engineering Studies. In today's video, we are going to discuss about sources in dbt. This is a fundamental concept you need to understand when building your data transformation pipeline. So what exactly is source in dbt? Sources are raw upstream tables that already exist in your data warehouse. Think of them as the starting point, the foundation of all the data transformation. These tables are already loaded using ETL tools that are not managed by dbt. These tables already exist, dbt just reads them. Now let's talk about how we define sources in dbt. Sources are defined in .yaml files using the sources as key. This YAML file is located in your models directory. Instead of hardcoding the table names directly in SQL, you references the source using source function. In the source function, we provide the source name and the table name. So why we use sources? If your source table name changes, you just have to update the YAML file. You don't have to update the SQL. The next benefit is the lineage. dbt automatically creates dependencies in your DAG. So you can visualize where exactly your data is coming from. Now let's see the practical implementation of sources in dbt. Let's start the demo. I'm in my Snowflake Snow site. Let's create our sample source data. As a first step, I'm going to create a database. I have created a database, my database. Inside my database, I'm going to create a schema. My schema name is my schema. The schema is successfully created. Now let me create an employees table. This represents the raw data your ETL tool would load. Let me create the employees table. The employees table is successfully created. In my employees table, I have 4 columns: employee ID, name, department, and hire date. Let me insert 8 employees. I have 4 different departments: marketing, sales, engineering, and HR. For each department, I am going to insert 2 employees. Let me run my insert statement. 8 records are successfully inserted. Now let's verify. The records are successfully inserted. We have created our raw employees table in Snowflake. Now let's configure this as a source in dbt. In order to do that, I'm going to Visual Studio Code. Here is my project directory, and I have created a dbt project. My project name is source demo. If you would like to know how to create dbt projects, I have explained this in my previous video. I will give the link of the video in the description. I have created source.yml file. From this file, dbt knows where our raw data lives. I have created this source.yml file in staging folder, which is inside the models folder. Let me open the source.yml file. Let me walk through this file. This file starts with sources key. This tells dbt we are defining source tables. Next we have name equals to raw. We are giving our source a name. I'm calling this as raw. This is the local name we are using in our dbt models. Next we are specifying the database and the schema. Our database is my database and our schema is my schema. We have created this database and schema in Snowflake. Next, under tables, we can define multiple tables. For this demo, I have created my table employees. This will appear in dbt docs. We have added a description for our table. Here is the powerful part. Our column definition. We have specified our column definition here. We have 4 columns in employees tables: employee ID, name, department, and hire date. These columns has name and the corresponding description. This is documentation as code. When you generate dbt docs, all this information appears automatically. Our source is defined. Let me save this file. Now that our source is defined, we'll create a staging model. that references the source using the source function. In order to do that, I have created a file staging underscore employees.sql. Let me open this file. Let's look at the code. We have selected all the columns. In the from class, instead of hard coding the table name, I'm using the source function. Here we have two arguments. In the first argument, I'm providing raw. This is our source name we defined in the sources.yml in this location. And next, our table name. This is why sources are really powerful. Instead of hard coding the table names, we are using source function and we are referencing the table details from the sources.yml file. So if the database changes, you just have to update the YAML file and you don't have to update the models. I hope it makes sense. Now I have created another model which is in marts folder. My model name is employees by department. Let me open this model. This is our business ready table that aggregates our data. This is where we will see the difference between source and the ref function. Using the ref function, I am referencing the stage underscore employees model that we created in the previous step. So the ref function is to reference the dbt models and the sources function is to reference the raw table defined in our sources.yml file. I hope it makes sense. For each department, I am selecting the count of employees, their first hire date and the last hire date. And we are selecting this from the stage model. So this is how the data flow works. First we will select the raw source from Snowflake. Then the staging model runs. Then the mart model runs. dbt tracks this entire data lineage automatically. Now let me save our models and run the dbt run command. I'm going to run dbt run. dbt loads our connection profile, which is nothing but profile.yaml's file. And we see that both the models got successfully created. Notice the order here. First the stage underscore employees model got created. Next, the employees by department model got created. Because dbt reads the ref function and knew that mart's model depend on staging, it automatically figures out the correct execution order. Both are created as views in Snowflake. Let me go to Snowflake and see if both the views got created. Here is our staging view. The staging view got successfully created. Next, our employees by departments view. Employees by department view is also successfully created. Now let's see some interview questions in sources. The first interview question is, what is the difference between source and ref function? Source function references the raw external tables that is loaded by your ETL tools. It is defined in source.yml file. Source function is an entry point for your DAG. Whereas ref function references other dbt models. It points to .sql file in your models folder. The ref function creates dependencies between models. Here is the syntax for the source function and the ref function. Now let's see the next interview question. Why we use sources instead of hard coding the table names? The first point is the single point of update. If there is a change in the schema or database, you just have to update the YAML file and all models follows automatically. No need to find and replace across dozens of files. The next key point is the traceability. Source make it easy to trace how data flows through your transformations. You can see the full lineage from raw to final output. The next key point is the team collaboration. Everyone on your team knows exactly where the data comes from. No guessing, no confusion. The last point is testing. You can add freshness check and test two sources. we can catch issues in raw data before they break down your downstream models. I hope you got a fair idea of the sources in dbt. If you do like this video, please consider to subscribe, and I will see you in yet another interesting dbt video. Thank you.